Today's lecture is lecture number 13 in 13th week, part B. Today we learn about jQuery effects. Let's look at this menu first. We are learning this one, and in next lecture we complete this jQuery tutorial. Today we learn about these jQuery effects. There are several chapters. Until here, jQuery chaining will complete in this lecture. Okay, let's start from here. Hide and show. We are learning some method that is provided by this jQuery library. And here we learn about hide, show, toggle, slide, paid, and animate. Let's click this one. This one is a simple example. Okay, if I am clicking this one, you can see this one is showing this panel. And if I am clicking this one again, then you can see this one is hiding this panel. This kind of effect, this is jQuery effects, hide and show, we are learning. To implement that, we can use this function method, hide and show methods. First, let's look at this example. To implement the previous effects, let's try this one. It will be better for understanding. Here, let's look at this part, this main part of this body area. We can see several elements here, P and the button. Two buttons here, hide and show, and one paragraph here. If I am clicking this hide button, you can see that will be hidden. And if I am clicking this show, then you can see that will appear again, and we can see. Thus, with this one we can hide and show. And how can implement? Let's look at this script part, because this is still JavaScript code, but we are using jQuery. And the jQuery notation is this. This one is for $, is for jQuery. And as we learned already, that document should be ready. If that document is ready, that event is happening, then this function can be executed. And inside of that function, we can see hide button will be selected, and we can execute this event handling code there, and also another event handling code there if that button is clicked. And here, this P, that is paragraph, that element is selected, and we can apply this hide effect using this jQuery method. Method name is hide. And also we can show to this jQuery show method. Let's look at the syntax. Syntax is very simple. Using this one, we can select element first to apply this jQuery method. Even for other methods, the syntax will be very similar, and this concept is very clear and straightforward to understand. Hide, this one. This one is containing two parameters. First one is about the speed. Second one is about the callback function. And this one is also has the same parameters here. And let's look at this one. The optional speed parameter specifies the speed of the hiding and showing, and can take the following values. This one is explaining about this speed. This one can be slow, fast, or millisecond with the numeric number, and then that unit is millisecond. And here, last one, this one is callback function. We learn about this one in detail later in other chapter, but in advance, this one is executed after completion of that hide method, then this callback function will be invoked and executed, and we'll learn this one more in detail later. And let's look at the speed parameter. The second one is callback function is optional, thus we can omit, and that is omitted here. Here 1000 means, as I mentioned already, that unit is millisecond, thus that is 1 second. That means I am clicking this one, then that will be hidden, and the duration time for hiding, and that will take 1 second as mentioned here. And this one is about the toggle. Toggle is changing that mode. If that is hidden, then it is showing, and if that is shown, then it is hiding, and hiding and showing, it is going to hiding and going to showing, and back and forth. That is called the toggling. Toggle. That is toggle method. Here, if we are using this toggle method in this real example, then you can see we are using the same similar document here, and we have 2 paragraphs here and 1 button here. If I am clicking this one, then you can see that will be hidden, and if I am clicking this one, then it is showing again, and like this. And to implement that, simply we can use this toggle, and before that, to apply this toggle effect, we should select the element first, and this P element is selected. After that, we can apply this toggle method. Okay, the syntax is like this, and also this one can contain 2 parameters. The first one is about the speed, and the second one is about the callback function. And okay, we'll proceed to the next chapter. And this one is about the fading effect. Even though that method is a little bit different, conceptually those methods are same. And among these fading methods, there are several kinds. One is PaidIn, and the next one is PaidOut, and the paid toggle and the PaidTo. We'll learn each one here. First one is PaidIn method. Here we can see the similar parameters here, speed and the callback. And here PaidIn, that means that is appeared like this. If we are using this PaidIn, and inside of this function, we can use this statement, 3 statements here. One is PaidIn, another one is PaidIn, but with different past, or this one is slow, or some millisecond numeric number we can contain as a parameter. And we can see the effect here. Click the PaidIn box, then you can see this one is executed. After clicking, then you can see PaidIn and div1. div1 is here. div1, that color is like this, red color. As we learned already in the CSS, this one is that style, and the property and the value pairs. And also about this, that is the second one, div2, and that the style is defined here using that property and the value pairs. Also, third one is here, and that color is blue. And in terms of the PaidIn, the speed is a little bit different because the first one is using default value. That means that is PaidIn immediately, like this. And the others, this one is slow, and the third one, let's try to reduce a little bit the size, then we can see the whole images together. Okay, that's enough. Okay, here I'll click again, then you can see this one, it will take 3 seconds because it is containing 3000 milliseconds, that parameter value here. Let's move to the next after closing these open tabs. Okay, another one is about the PaidOut. that is the opposite in terms of fading. It is disappearing. jQuery PaidOut method is used to fade out a visible element here, PaidOut. And this one is using the same parameter values. This one is default one, this one is a slow one, and this one is a 3000 millisecond. Thus they will disappear. And it will take 3 seconds to disappear completely. And the next one is about the paid toggle. It is repeating the paid in and the paid out. Conceptually, the parameter, those are same, and we can see directly the implementation here with this real example. And here we are using, instead of other paid in and paid out, we are using paid toggle, and this one is showing and hiding, showing paid in and paid out. And it will take 3 seconds still. This one is, you can see the slow time. It will take 3 seconds. Okay, another one is the paid to. For the final style, that is destined to, and this property, final property, will be achieved after finishing this method, and that is the paid to method. And the paid to, with this one we can use 3 parameters here. First one is about the speed, second one is opacity. As we learned already, this opacity is containing the value between 0 and 1, and we can see if that is 0, then that means transparent. 1 is that is opaque. And the final one is callback, and of course that is optional and we can omit. And here we are just using 2 parameter values among 3 parameters. And let's look at this one. And here, if I am clicking this one, then you can see finally they will be changed to this destined final property, this one, and the opaque is being changed to this final value, and that is 0.15 and 0.4, 0.7. You can see the opacity. Depending upon that opacity value, you can see the transparency level. And you can try others, and let's move to the next. And this one is about the sliding, and as the name is self-explaining, this one is showing some effects about the slide elements up and down. And this one is the very simple example to show that the sliding effects down first and up, and this one is doing that. And this one is called the slide toggle, and let's look at 3 methods here related to that slide. First one is about the slide down, and let's look at this real example. Conceptually, the parameters contained here, those are almost the same, and we can use in similar way, and the main difference is just the method name, and that is implementing that effects, jQuery effects. Slide down first. Here, if I'm clicking this one, you can see this one is sliding down, and we can implement that into this one. And here we can contain some parameters. Even though there may be several parameters, we can omit others, and this one is slow, and thus we can see they're slow. And if we are using some parameters that is pure numeric number, then that unit will be millisecond. Thus, if I am using 2000, that 2000 millisecond, that means that is equal to 2 seconds. It will take 2 seconds. Okay, like this. To complete that sliding down, it will take 2 seconds. Okay, Let's move to the next. Slide up, and also this one is very similar, but this one is sliding up. That the effect is different. The others are exactly the same. If I'm clicking this one, then that will be slide down, slide up like that. And if we are using the slide up method, then we can implement this sliding up effect. Also, this parameter is containing some fast or slow that character string or some numeric number. Okay, let's move to the next. And similarly, in other method, as we used already about these toggle effects, and this one is toggling. That means slide down and slide up. It is repeating. And okay, here the others are same. Thus I am skipping that. Here, instead of other method, we are using this slide toggle. And here you can see this T is capital T, and you should be careful about that. And here, if I'm clicking this one, then you can see this one is sliding down. If I'm clicking again, it will sliding up again. It will slide up again, like that. And here, if we are looking at these HTML elements, then in this body area, we have two div pairs here. First one is this one, and the second one is panel. And initially, when we are starting this one, then initially that was shown here. And the first one, flip one, is shown here. And second one, hello world, is not shown here because of this display none, as we learned already in the CSS tutorial. Initially it was not shown. That means it is hidden, and later it will be shown if I am clicking this one, like that. Okay, you can try others. Let's move to this animate chapter. In advance, this animation, let's try to enlarge first. Okay, about this animation, if you are trying to implement the animation effect, then I am recommending CSS instead of this jQuery animation effects, because there is some limitation, and that will be explained later. And more sophisticated animation and better animation effect can be implemented with the CSS 3, actually. CSS animation and keyframes, we can implement that. And this one is another way, but the more useful one is CSS animation. And let's start animation here. Then you can see this is a kind of animation effect we can implement. It's this jQuery animate method. And this animate method, after selecting some element with this jQuery, and after that we can apply this animate and with some parameters here. And the first one is about the style, CSS property and the value pairs. And second one is about the speed. And the third one is about the callback function. And the others are same as we learned already about this speed and the callback. And that can be slow and past 1 millisecond, as we learned already. And third one will be the callback function. Anyhow, that will be explained later. The callback function means after finishing that animation effect, after completion of that, this callback function will be executed. And let's move to here, parameters. Parameters here, this one, animate, and this one, parameters, animate, and this one is style. And the style, this one is containing property and the value pairs. There may be many property and the value pairs. Let's look at this simple one. This one's using only one property and the value pair here. And let's start animation. Then you can see this one is moving because that is showing this property value 250 pixel, that is apart from that. Thus that is apart 200 pixel from this y-axis horizontally. That is apart from that. And also you can implement other property value here. Then you can implement other effect like this, the 100 pixel, and you can see, and it is moving down also. Okay, I'll shrink to see whole thing together, and let's look at. Thus, we can contain many value and this property value pairs in this style definition, like that. Then we can show various animation effect. Initially, that style was like that. Okay, I'll try to enlarge first. By default, all HTML elements have a static position and cannot be moved. To manipulate the position, remember to first set the CSS position property of the elements to relative, fixed, or absolute. Here, this one is explained about that. Okay, this one. This one should be defined here in this style to implement this animation effect. This one can be absolute or relative or fixed, it doesn't matter, but you should not use this static. And that is the default. Anyhow, if you are not specifying here, then that static, that value will be, the property value will be applied. Then it is not working like this. Thus, we cannot implement animation effect. Even though I am omitting this one, still it is same. I cannot. But you can use other, for example, relative instead of the absolute. Anyhow, you can implement that animation effect like this. Okay, and okay, jQuery animate, manipulate multiple properties together like this. We can implement this style definition here with multiple property value pairs here. Then we can implement this kind. And here we can enumerate, as we learned already, this style definition, style and these property and value pairs. And this one is explaining some limitation of the jQuery animate method, especially about this. Color animation is not included in the core jQuery library. Thus, if you want to animate the color, you need to download the color animation plugin from jQuery.com website. Thus, there is some limitation. And as I mentioned already, I am recommending to use CSS animation with keyframes. Then that will be better, and that is more simpler, much simpler than this. And even the relative values, this one is explaining another thing about the relative values with this plus equal operator, and there is some change. Okay, the others are same, and we are using this one, and we can use the relative value also, what fixed as mentioned here, and the start animation. Then you can see, and here we can see this increment or decrement that is possible due to this plus equal operator. That is possible. This one is explaining some minor comments. Also using predefined values, also you can use like this. height that is tall in this way. Click the button multiple times to toggle the animation. We can implement that. In this way we can implement. In this property, value pairs, we can implement that. And also, this one is minor comments. Here you can see this one is changing, and that is showing more advanced animation effects than previous one. And here sequentially this one will be implemented first, this animation effect. Height is 300 pixel and opacity point and slow, like that. And also we are using this variable div instead of this dollar. Original one is this, using jQuery $sign and the div element here, the selector, and this one is replacing, and this div is replacing that. There's, if I am copying this one, and instead of this div, this one can be replaced to the original one, then still same. Then simply we can use this variable after assigning to other variable name. This is simplified one, then we can use that. That is simpler way. Another example, this one is changing the font size finally, and this is the sequence of that animation. First, this one moving left to the right, probably 100 pixels apart from that left axis slowly, and after that, that font size that will be changed to 3M, like this. That will be changed after that finally. And you can try others. Let's move to the next. Stop animations. Sometimes we want to stop during that animation effect, and that is possible. Here, let's look at this example. Start sliding. I can stop here, and also I can start, and I can stop later, yeah, like this, and start again, and stop, and start again, stop, like that. That is possible. And we have some method for that. That is stop method. We can do that. This jQuery method, as we learned already, you do the other method, and that is also a kind of jQuery method. And here we can use two parameters. One is stop or, another one is go to end. Depending upon that, the stop action, the effects may be different. And this parameter is, this one is probably explained somewhere. And let's follow this one. The optional stop or, this one is explained about that. Stop or parameter specifies whether also the animation queue should be cleared or not. The stop or things together. Default is first, which means that only the active animation will be stopped. Only that active element will be stopped if that is first. That means partially that will be stopped, allowing any queued animation to be performed afterwards. The others are still meaningful. The optional go to end parameter specifies whether or not to complete the current animation and immediately. Default is original value is first. Default value is first. And this one, the optional go to end parameter that is specifying whether or not to complete the current animation immediately. By default, the stop method kills the current animation being performed on the selected element. And the following example demonstrates the stop method with no parameters first, like this. Okay, let's look at this chapter. This chapter is about the callback functions. In the previous chapter, that was briefly introduced, but this one is the main chapter explaining more in detail. Callback function is executed after the current method is 100% finished. And these callback functions, JavaScript statements are executed line by line. However, it affects the next line of code can be run, even though the effect is not finished. That is the problem. This can create errors. To prevent this error, we can create a callback function. Then we can get some confirmation of that completion of the previous execution. Then we can execute the next one. A callback function is executed after the current effect is finished. And the syntax is like this, as we did already, like this, and some method. But inside of this, one of the parameter, last one, is callback function. And in the previous example, we didn't use this one, and because this is optional and we can omit. But here we'll use this callback function. The example here, this one is using callback function parameter, and that function will be executed after the hide effect is completed. This one is callback function, and you can see the function definition here. That is callback function. And here, reader. Okay, this is a paragraph with the reader content. I will hide this one, and after that, after completion of that hiding effect, after completion of that hide method, this function will be invoked, and finally this alert statement will be shown here, and that is about this. And let's move to the next. Without callback function, we can see why we need this kind of callback function. Because of this some erroneous situation in this error situation, we need this kind of callback function. Okay, here this one is using hide. After that, we are using alert. In this example, we are not using callback function. Instead, sequentially, that method is here, hide first. After that, we want to show alert. But the problem is like this. I'll try to hide first, but even before hiding this paragraph, this alert statement will be shown like that. This one is not completed. Even before that completion of this method, this alert statement was executed. That is the problem. Our intention is that should be hidden first. That should be hidden first, and after that, that alert statement is shown like this. The paragraph is now hidden, but that was wrong. Just to avoid that error situation, we need a callback function. Okay, next topic is about chaining. Probably this one is the last chapter in this jQuery effect tutorial, this section. With the jQuery, we can chain together actions methods, and the chaining is simply think about the chain. With the chain, we can provide some sequence. The first one will be executed first, and after that execution, next will be executed in that sequence. Okay, chaining allows us to run multiple jQuery methods on the same element within a single statement. That is important, and it is very convenient way. In a single statement, we can implement several methods, several actions together. How? It is very simple. Let's try to use this CSS, and that is providing some property value pairs and the slide up, slide down effects, and we can make them integrated together with the chain. That is called chaining. Until now, we have been writing jQuery statements one at a time, one after the other. However, there is a technique called chaining that allows us to run multiple jQuery commands one after the other on the same elements. This way, browser do not have to find the same elements more than once, and it is very convenient way. To chain an action, we simply append the action to the previous action. How? In this way. Simply we can use this dot and the next method and the dot and the next method. This is the way how to chain. And let's look at this one. This real example. Here, let's click this one. Then you can see this CSS. After selection of that element, the CSS that is changing the property, the color will be changed to red, as we observed already. And after that, that will be slided up, and after that, that will be slide down, like that. Change, slide up, slide down. In the sequence, that is the chaining. And if we need more method, then we can chain more. We can add more. Here, another example. After selection of certain element, we can apply this method with the chaining method, CSS first, and slide up and slide down. Okay, probably this one is the end, and this one is explaining the lines. Even though we are using different lines, it is working well enough. Thus, in this way or in this way, it doesn't matter. It is working anyhow. And I'll wrap up this lecture here.